Let's go to Art Laffer, the former Reagan economist and confidant of one Donald Trump. Looking at all of this, Art, they don't have this paid for. I think it was a Freudian slip on Nancy Pelosi's part to acknowledge maybe half will be paid for. It could be the whole thing. But that's about a $2 trillion gap. And if you haven't got that nailed down, you don't have it.
That's very true. They don't have it nailed down. They don't have it. And the spending is what's really the problem. What they pretend is going to be the tax revenues will not materialize, Neil. I mean, that's over a 10-year period. They're counting these numbers. And when they raise the taxes, when they do this spending, that GDP growth will be much less than they expect. And there'll be a much more tax sheltering. And those revenues will not come true. They just will not. The Trump's tax cuts, on the other hand, paid for themselves within 2 years, Neil. Those are the numbers. They're in, they're solid, they're there. This is the exact opposite. They not only won't pay for themselves, they'll lead to larger deficits, not pay for us.
All right, so play this out for me. Time is running against Democrats at least getting this done this year. Now, I could be wrong. They can move fast and try to, certainly to get the bipartisan infrastructure package passed. That does have bipartisan support, as I said. That looks like it's a gimme. But the other stuff is, at least to me, given the calendar and then the approaching midterms, more like a 2022 event. But I could be missing something. What do you think?
Well, I don't really know what the timing is. I'm not expert on this political stuff and how. I don't even know how they got as far as they did, Neil. If I took half the Democrats in the House and talked to them individually, they would disagree with almost everything in this bill. The Democrats are being pushed to do this. I don't know why they are conceding it, but they are. In the Senate, I mean, Manchin, Sinema, all these others, these people know that this bill is a bad bill personally, and they're letting it go through just for political vendetta. And I just don't get it. And I don't know if it's postponed till next year, Neil. I think they're going to have a hard time, because if this bill is passed, they lose the House by a landslide, and the Republicans pick up the Senate as well. And then it's a real problem for the Biden administration.
Then it's over. If you don't do it now, you're quite right. If you don't do it now, you take advantage of the slim majorities you have. And even among that majority, you mentioned Sinema and Manchin, they're not buying at least the $4 trillion figure. But that aside, I always notice they get creative when it comes to raising taxes, not so much with controlling spending. And some of the latest options they're throwing out there are on investment-related taxes, assets, hard assets, real estate, surtaxes on the super wealthy, guys like you. And I'm just wondering, see how I slipped that in there? I'm just wondering what you make of that. I mean, because they're trying to say, all right, we can go after this unique subset of the population and zing them without risking zinging the $400,000 and under crowd. But you start taxing investments and trades, you are going to that under 400 grand crowd.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's sneaky, and it's deceitful. And they're going through all these little things here, and all of them are just accounting numbers, Neil. But remember, they're just accounting numbers done by people who aren't all that well educated to begin with. And what they are claiming that these numbers are going to come true. And, you know, if only we could raise taxes on the rich to 120% of everything they earn and have, my goodness, would we collect a lot of revenues. I mean, it's just amazing. And this is the game they're playing, and it's not going to come out. And we're all going to be holding the stick. And my hope is that after this is all done and the Republicans take the House and the Senate, then they put this bill up and have a repeal this whole bill and make the Democrats vote for it again and again and make Biden veto it until finally we get the presidency and the whole thing, and we can return to a pro-growth agenda and provide prosperity for all Americans, poor and rich. This is going to really hurt the poor, the minorities, the disenfranchised, the undereducated, really cream them badly. And, you know, and they don't care, Neil. They just don't care.
You know, it might surprise you to think they disagree with everything you just said there. I don't know what that's about. Art, very good seeing you again, my friend. Thank you very, very much.
It's great seeing you, Neil. Thank you for having me. And I'm not one of those Richies.
Okay, all right, I'll buy it. I'll buy it. But you are consistent on this issue of taxes and all. You're a big supporter of Bill Clinton and his tax cut. So this isn't sort of like waving a party label. You just call for just fiscal austerity and giving people their money. This was a very different issue 20 years ago. No, thank you, Art.